So, welcome to this video where we will talk about the anti-anginal drugs in details. So, what is angina? Angina is defined as ischemic chest pain that occurs due to narrowing of the coronary arteries. It occurs due to mismatch between the demand of blood by the myocardium and the supply of blood via the narrowed coronary arteries. Coronary artery narrowing mostly occurs due to atherosclerotic occlusion. However, vasospasm of anatomically normal coronary arteries is also seen in patients of Prinzmetal angina. Demand of blood by the myocardium increases during increased workload of the heart. The myocardial workload increases either due to an increased pressure in the systemic circulation or an increase in the heart rate and subsequently an increase in cardiac output. Increased heart rate occurs during exercise, heavy work or exertion, anxiety, stress, etc. and therefore this can trigger anginal episodes in the patients. What are the clinical subtypes of angina? Stable angina, ischemic chest pain that is triggered during exercise or exertion. Stable angina patients have no chest pain at rest. Unstable angina patients, ischemic chest pain can happen even at rest. Now, both the above subtypes of angina occurs due to atherosclerotic narrowing of coronary arteries. Vasospastic or variant of Prinzmetal angina is anginal chest pain that occurs due to vasospasm of anatomically normal coronary arteries. And in this case, the patient will present with anginal chest pain even at rest. However, as you can see, the vasospastic angina is often confused with unstable angina and MI and therefore sometimes become very difficult to diagnose. Now, anti-anginal drugs work principally by two main mechanisms. They can either cause dilatation of the coronary artery and thereby increasing the blood supply to myocardium, or they can reduce the heart rate and decrease the workload and therefore also reduce the myocardial oxygen demand. Now, classification of anti-anginal drugs. They will include nitrates that include nitroglycerin, isosorbide dinitrate, isosorbide mononitrate, and pentaerythritol tetranitrate. Pentaerythritol tetranitrate being the longest acting nitrate among the other drugs. Beta blockers include bisoprolol, atenolol, and metoprolol, that is cardioselective or beta-1 selective beta blockers. Calcium channel blockers and newer agents like nicorandil, ivabradine, fasudil, trimetazidine, ranolazine, and dipyridamole. So, what is the mechanism of action of nitrates? In the capillary endothelial cells, arginine is worked upon by the epithelial nitric oxide synthase ENOS enzyme to convert it to nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide then diffuses into the cells of the vascular smooth muscle and stimulates the guanide cyclase enzyme. This ultimately causes an increase in cyclic GMP levels that results in a relaxation of the vascular smooth muscle. Nitrates or nitrites principally work by increasing the nitric oxide levels and thereby also promote the relaxation of vascular smooth muscle. Now, this vascular smooth muscle relaxation caused by nitrates occurs at the level of coronary arteries and the systemic veins. So, dilatation of the systemic veins reduces the preload, that is the venous return towards the right heart, and subsequently the cardiac output from the left side of the heart also decreases, reducing the workload of the heart, and therefore the myocardial oxygen demand gets reduced. Dilatation of the coronary arteries additionally also improves the blood flow to the myocardium. Nitrates causes redistribution of blood flow from the non-ischemic area of the heart towards the ischemic area of the heart, which is called as the Robin Hood phenomenon. Now, talking about nitrates, their properties. Nitrates can be given by all routes since they are lipid soluble except intramuscular and subcutaneous routes. The uses include angina. They can also be used in myocardial infarction and acute coronary syndromes to relieve the anginal chest pain. They reduce the workload by reducing the period of the venous return towards the heart. They reduce the cardiac output and therefore they can be used in patients of left ventricular failure. They will act as smooth muscle relaxant in the abdomen and the esophagus, therefore they can be used in abdominal esophageal colicky pain. They cannot be used in patients of biliary colic or ureteric colic. And they also have a role in treatment of cyanide poisoning patients. Side effects include headache, reflex tachycardia, flushing, edema. The mechanism is same as that of vasodilators, which has been explained in the antihypertensive video. They can cause hypotension, reduction in the cardiac output, and they may also cause bradycardia in some patients. Tolerance is a side effect seen with the use of nitrates to downregulation of an enzyme called as MAD enzyme. The MAD enzyme is responsible for converting the nitrates into their active form. With prolonged use of nitrates continuously, the MAD enzyme gets downregulated, and to avoid this, we need to give a nitrate-free interval at the bedtime. And this nitrate tolerance is maximum with transdermal patch. Now, what is the role of nitrates in cyanide poisoning? In patients of cyanide poisoning, sodium nitrate and sodium thiosulfate are given as a combination. How do they work? Let's see. Sodium nitrite converts hemoglobin into methemoglobin, which combines with cyanide to form cyanomethemoglobin. When sodium thiosulfate combines with cyanomethemoglobin, methemoglobin is produced, and on the other hand, sodium thiocyanate are produced, which are excreted in the urine. Therefore, a side effect of sodium nitrate is methemoglobinemia. So, beta blockers as anti-anginal agents. They block the beta 1 receptors on the heart, decreasing the heart rate and therefore the myocardial oxygen demand. And therefore, they are considered as drugs of choice in patients of chronic stable angina as they have the best mortality benefits. They prevent arrhythmias arising as a result of ischemia to the myocardium. The side effects of beta blockers that are seen with non-selective beta blockers is due to blockade of the beta-2 adrenergic receptors. Blocking of the beta-2 receptors in the coronary vascular smooth muscle trigger coronary vasoconstriction. Therefore, non-selective beta blockers like propranolol are contraindicated in vasospastic or variant angina. Calcium channel blockers. DHP types of CCBs cause coronary vasodilatation and therefore they can be used in vasospastic angina. Non-DHP CCBs like verapamil, diltiazem additionally block the SA node, reducing the heart rate and the myocardial oxygen demand. Therefore, they can be used in all types of angina patients. If you want to know more about the calcium channel blockers, they have been described in detail in the video on antihypertensive agents, which is there on the channel. You can go and take a look at it if you have not seen it yet. So, talking about the newer anti-anginal agents, the first being nicorandil. Nicorandil works by two mechanisms. One, it opens the ATP-sensitive potassium channels, causing an efflux of potassium from the vascular smooth muscle. This causes a hyperpolarization and relaxation of the vascular smooth muscle. Nicorandil also produces the nitric oxide and has a mechanism of action similar to the nitrates, which causes coronary artery vasodilatation and therefore increase in the blood flow towards the myocardium. Nicorandil has additional cardioprotective action on the heart, which is also called as ischemic precondition. The side effect of nicorandil includes recurrent aphthous ulcerations in the oral mucosa. Now, talking about the mechanism of action of ivabradine. The SA node or the sinus node is the pacemaker of the heart, which generates the electrical rhythm towards the heart and causes synchronized contraction of the atria and the ventricles. Ivabradine selectively inhibits the funny current or the IF current in the sinus node, which is an inward sodium current. By blocking this current, the depolarization phase of this SA node is shortened, is prolonged, resulting in a decrease in the frequency of impulse generation at the SA node, ultimately resulting in a reduction of the heart rate. So the uses can be stable angina and congestive heart failure, since reduction in the heart rate reduces the cardiac output and the workload on the heart. However, as a side effect, it causes bradycardia and visual disturbance in patients, which is called as the luminous phenomenon. Fasudil is a Rho kinase inhibitor and causes the dilatation of the coronary arteries. It is preferred in patients of vasospastic angina. Trimetazidine is a PFOX inhibitor. It works by inhibiting the thiolase enzyme in the cardiomyocytes, and therefore this inhibits the oxidation of fatty acid. This results in a metabolic shift from fatty acid to glucose that consumes less oxygen and therefore reduces the myocardial oxygen demand. Ranolazine blocks the late sodium channels of the heart that reduces the heart rate and the myocardial oxygen demand. Additionally, like trimetazidine, it has a PFOX inhibitory action. It provides an additional advantage of improving the glycemic control in patients of diabetes. The side effect of ranolazine is that it causes QT prolongation that can cause torsades de pointes. Dipyridamole is an antianginal drug that works by causing efflux of adenosine from the endothelial cells, resulting in coronary artery dilatation. It has additional antiplatelet action. However, it is not used as an antianginal agent due to a phenomenon called coronary steal phenomenon and reverse Robinson phenomenon. Now, in coronary artery disease, in vessels where the atheromatous plaque is narrowed, in the downstream, the arterioles get dilated. This reduces the blood pressure in the downstream region, which pulls the blood via collaterals towards the site of the ischemic myocardium and tries to improve the blood flow towards the ischemic area. This is a physiological response. In the presence of dipyridamole, it was observed that arterioles towards the non-ischemic area of the myocardium also got dilated. As a result of that, the pressure in the blood vessels that was supplying the resistance in the blood vessels that was supplying to the non-ischemic area of the myocardium got further reduced, and this caused a reverse flow of blood from the ischemic area of the myocardium towards the non-ischemic region of the myocardium that causes a further compromise in the blood supply towards the ischemic area of the myocardium. This is what is called as coronary still phenomenon and reverse Robinette phenomenon that further reduces blood flow towards the ischemic myocardium, and therefore dipyridamole is not used as an anti-anginal agent anymore. That's all for this video.